So yesterday, I didn't really feel like running my mouth. Today, that's all I'm going to do. It was Mother's Day today, here in the States anyway, and I say that like I have international viewers. I don't know. If I do, great. It was Mother's Day here in the state, the day that we celebrate mothers. And I have a couple great ones. My mom and my grandma, they're amazing ladies. So I spent the day with them. I cooked them dinner and hung out with them. And they're not really camera people, so I didn't want to make them uncomfortable by trying to vlog that. I was just kind of with them, which left me with the, conundrum of what am I going to do for a vlog today. So here it is, midnight, and I'm just now coming out to record, and I'm just gonna run my mouth for a little bit. I guess it's another filler rant. So we watched Tenet. By the way, if you haven't watched Tenet, there'll be some spoilers, probably. I don't know, I'm a bitch about it a little bit. I don't like the movie much. But it made me think about something else that I wanted to work through and talk about a little bit. It was a well-made movie. Everything was shot well. The dialogue was good. When they weren't explaining the time loop nonsense. Denzel Washington's son was very good. Robert Pattinson was very good. All the actors were great. But the movie itself, man, it was kind of like it was more montagey than it was like a straight flow, and not in like a way where it was off because of how the time mechanics worked. It was just, they just kind of went from plot point to plot point to plot point, and there was nothing bridging the gaps. Kind of reminded me of like modern wrestling, go figure, where they just go to move to move to move, spot to spot to spot, and there's no story to bridge the gaps. Now, the movie did have a story. It wasn't a great one. I predicted the end in the first 10 minutes, and every plot point that came up, every twist that they seemed to be so proud of themselves for, I saw it coming 10 minutes before it happened. Now, that doesn't make it a bad movie. It wasn't terrible to get through. Actually, what it made me think of was, remember back when HBO Max announced that they were going to do simultaneous releases to theaters and to the streaming service with all their big movies this year? And Christopher Nolan, who made Tenet, said this. I remember reading a thing where he said, I went to bed thinking I worked for the best studio, and I woke up and found out I was working for the worst streaming service. And so just that level of hubris, egotism, it got me thinking, right? Because first of all, this movie wasn't even that great. And, it also, there was no point in this movie where I was like, oh man, that would have been so cool on the big screen. This was not a movie that needed the big screen for the experience. I don't believe it did. So what is that? Is he just so egotistical that he's like, oh, I need my art experienced my way. I made it, for the IMAX, so you have to come see it in the IMAX because I said it's my art. And there's certainly some legitimacy to the idea of an artist's vision for how to experience his art, but I also wonder, are you more concerned, when you create something, are you more concerned with, I have a vision, I have a story, I have a feeling, I have this piece of art that I want to put out into the world for people to see, or are you invested in like people coming to see your art and validating yourself through your art? And I think there's a difference there, and as a creator, myself, I want to make people feel something, and I have a vision, and I have a certain, idea for how I want it to be experienced, but also, I know that everybody's going to come to this with everybody's going to come to my art, everybody's going to come to my matches, my vlog with a different perspective, and I'm sharing my own perspective, so they're going to see it differently. So what's the point in me trying to really, You know, I can't control how they're going to experience it. You know, and that made me think about, what that made me think about wrestling is, you know, I complain so much about, you know, all the pre-planning that guys do and the pre-planned spots and everything now. And it you know, makes everything so robotic. And I think it's that same kind of insecurity of like wanting a match to go a certain way, to be experienced a certain way, to, you know, like this is what I want to do. I want to look cool, you know. I want to make sure I get my moves in. I want to make sure I get my shit in, and you know, I want to, you know, I need to do that, and I want to make sure the match goes perfectly. And you know, that's just not what it's about. And I don't believe that's what creation is about, right? You know, creating something isn't about perfect experience. It should not be about, you know, the fans experiencing what your you know what I mean, your creation the way you want it and feeling the thing you expect them to feel. I believe that creation art, whether it's my matches, whether it's, you know, my writing, whether it's this vlog, like I am putting a piece of myself out there. I am putting my perspective out there. I am creating something and I send it out into the world, and then the fans, the audience gets to decide how they feel about it. And sometimes that's going to be ugly, and sometimes it's going to be messy. And I think that's what makes it authentic, right? And that's why I'm such a big proponent of, you know, being in the of going out there and working on the fly, of calling matches in the ring, because I think you need to be authentic. You need to be vulnerable. I mean, the great thing about professional wrestling, I say this all the time, is that interplay between what we're doing and the fans. We are the only... when you call a match in the ring, we are the only form of entertainment that is created with the fans. You know, their boos and cheers affect the good guys and bad guys. We can react to them, you know, and the more you plan your match, the more you plan your spots, the more you lay it out, the more rehearsed it becomes, you lose that a little bit at a time. And even though, you know, you may plan spots to interact, you may be able to interact with the crowd as you're building into the next thing, you lose that interplay where they're with you. And I know it's scary. I know it's scary, but you gotta let yourself be vulnerable. Just like when you put a piece of art out there, it's like bearing a piece of your soul, but that's what makes it great. That's what makes it genuine. And that is what really connects with people. I don't believe creation is about being perfect. You know, it's never about sanding off all the rough edges. It's never about creating the perfect experience. It's just about creating an experience, some emotion. And to create that emotion, to make your audience feel something, you have to put some emotion out there. And the more, you know, the more you connect and like the more you perfect something and the more you mold it and the more you know, use your intellect to shape it, the less you're putting your emotion into it and the less emotion that is going to bleed through it. You know, Tenet did not make me feel anything. Nothing. I just watched the movie. It was fine. I didn't feel anything. For me, that's what art and creation is all about. Feeling something. Making your audience feel something. And I really believe you have to be vulnerable to do that. You know, I think we all have a creator inside of us, something that, you know, we should be creating. And ultimately, I think that's what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to put out there is be brave, guys. Create that thing. Put it out there. Don't worry about if it's perfect. Stop trying to make matches perfect. Stop trying to make that painting perfect. At some point, let the editing be done on that manuscript and put it out, man. Like, just let it go. Be vulnerable. Even if it's not exactly what you intended, that should be the best part.